Welcome back to another episode. Today I'm gonna review Walker for the Commodore Amiga, and let's go. Walker is a side-scrolling shooter that was developed by DMA Design, which is today better known under the name Rockstar North, and released by Psygnosis in the year 1993 for the Commodore Amiga. In this game you take control of the AG-9 Walker, which is sent through time to seek and destroy 4 major military targets because of a war that happened somewhere around the year 2370. That's basically the background story in a nutshell. If you want to read it for yourself, then please check the description box. Each one of the targets is located in a different time period, which means that this game has 4 stages. The first stage is Berlin in the year 1944 during World War II. The second stage is Los Angeles in the year 2019. The third stage is the Middle East in the present, or more specifically tonight. And the fourth and final stage is the Great War in the year 2420, location unknown. Each stage has 2 levels, and at the end of every second level you will face one of the targets in a boss fight. The AG-9 Walker has only one weapon system, 2 heavy machine guns underneath the cockpit. You have unlimited ammunition, but the guns can overheat. So you should always keep an eye on the heat indicator, which is located on the top left of the screen below the score. On the top right you see how much lives you have left, and below you see the status of the shields. Beside the guns you can also stamp on some of the foot soldiers, but that's it. There are no other weapons, no power-ups, and there is no way to restore your shields, except when you finish a level and enter the next one. There is also a lock-on function, which is useful for flying enemies like planes and helicopters, then small targets like mines, and also for some of the foot soldiers who try to climb up the walker and set explosives. But except for that, the lock-on function is not that helpful in my opinion, especially if you use it for tanks. With the lock-on function, it feels like it takes 1 or 2 seconds longer to take them out. Doesn't sound that much, but when the screen is full of enemies, these 1 or 2 seconds can decide between life or death. You activate the lock-on function with the right mouse button, which brings me to the controls. You can play this game with the keyboard and mouse, or joystick and mouse. With the mouse you control the crosshair, the left mouse button fires the machine guns, and the right one is for the lock-on function. And with the keyboard or the joystick you walk forward and backwards. Today those kind of controls are standard in first-person shooters, but for 1993 they were unusual and new, especially in a side-scrolling game. Another thing that makes Walker a very unusual side-scrolling shooter is that you play from right to left. Normally in a side-scrolling shooter or any other side-scrolling game you always play from left to right. The graphics are pretty nice. The explosions and enemies look good. If the foot soldiers remind you of the Lemmings, then that's no coincidence. DMA Design and Psygnosis also made the game Lemmings, which was released in 1991, 2 years before Walker. A funny thing is that the Walker makes a cameo in Lemmings 2, The Tribes, in the space levels. The backgrounds don't look that impressive, but they work for the atmosphere. The best looking thing in this game is the Walker itself, with its fluent and realistic animations. Okay, a few words about the music. I like the music, but the game actually only has 2 tracks. One is the intro music and the second one is a very short one which you will hear when you lose the game, which happens a lot, but I'll come to that later. So during the game you don't have a soundtrack, but that's actually not bad since it also adds a little bit to the atmosphere and the sound effects are just great. The explosions, the machine guns, every step the walker makes. Awesome. If you have an Amiga computer with 2 MB of RAM, then you have the option to activate extra speech, and with that you will also hear radio communication between the walker and the headquarter. I guess everybody who played this game will agree with me that this game is unbeatable. I mean, you have the choice between an easy and an arcade mode, and when you select the easy mode the game is easier. But it ends after the second stage and tells you to try again in the arcade mode, because only the arcade mode has all 4 stages. The arcade mode actually starts pretty easy. Just with a little practice you are able to clear the first 2 levels without losing a life. With a little more practice you will also clear the 3rd level without losing a life. But when you reach the 4th level, which is the second one of the Los Angeles stage, the difficulty changes dramatically. Now I am able to reach the 5th level and I would rate myself as a good player. I can imagine that very good players can reach the 6th or even the 7th level, but I don't think that even the best players in the world can finish this game. Of course, there are a couple of cheat codes available for Walker, and with those you can skip levels or become invincible, for instance. And yes, I also had to cheat to show you the 4th stage. Beside the cheat codes, there is a trick that can help you a lot. And I guess it is possible to beat this game by using it. Just connect a joystick or a controller with an autofire function to the Amiga computer and activate the autofire. And now the walker fires constantly without overheating. Now the fire rate isn't that high, but you can increase it by pushing the fire button. But now the guns will start overheating again. In the end, to me, Walker is a real classic for the Commodore Amiga and I would recommend it to every shooter fan. I think it's a pretty cool game with an insane difficulty level, I have to say, but it's still enjoyable. Okay, this was my review of Walker for the Commodore Amiga. I hope you enjoyed the show. Maybe see you next time. Take care. Bye!